Hello everyone, Luke here. Now before I get into the actual chapter itself, I just want to I just want to say one very important thing. Sorry this came out a little bit later. I had a few little things in my personal life that I kind of wanted to get out of the way, kind of wanted to get off my mind and just push that to one side. But now that that's over, we can now finally dive into the review, and this one will probably be one of the shorter ones. Alright, so this will be chapter 164, titled RE Lock On. Lock on target, stay on target. We're too close, stay on target. Now, all joking aside, this chapter was pretty much exactly what I expected from the last chapter. It's basically just Stanley versus Senku and Ryusui, and just flying around trying to outmaneuver each other. It's basically just the aerial battle. But anyway, the chapter starts off with them still on the Perseus, as we see Kasuki basically just launch it like a catapult, and as they go, yeah, this catapult will literally launch us into the sky. We see Kazuki just like holding like a lever, and then just going boom, and then we see like the actual aircraft carrier just like get launched like a rocket as it shoots up into the sky, which actually surprises Stanley completely. It's like, well, I was never expecting this, and we see them standing off as we see a capture going plane versus plane. And I just love captions like that when the series where it just has it like that, like this is big, this is epic, try and make it as big and epic as it possibly can. As everyone is getting really excited and being like, oh my god, there's a dogfight and it's an airplane showdown and yeah, this is gonna be awesome. One of the random like members of the Perseus crew is like, no, don't get too excited, because if they lose, we're screwed, because that Stanley guy is still gonna have a plane up there and he's gonna just shoot us full of holes and everything, and then we'll be like, yeah, pretty screwed at that point if them two die. So yeah, this may be exciting, but we still have to remember that the fate of the Perseus rests on these guys actually winning. And Gimu's the one that's like, and they're up against what's his name, Stanley Snyder. Yeah, that's the one. They're up against him, because it's like, yeah, they know that they've seen firsthand just how threatening Stanley can be, especially when it comes to weaponry, how accurate and precise he can actually be. And oh my god, if they could actually get Stanley on their side, then he would be a fireable threat. But at this stage, I doubt they're actually going to get him on his side, or even Dr. Sino. I think they're two of the characters that there's no way they're actually going to be able to get on their sides. Of course, the real question of all of this comes from Luna. She's like, she actually says the real question, which is basically, why did Senku jump from his sickbed into the cockpit, which was something that I didn't bring, which is something I barely touched on last week, because I thought that that some time had passed and Senku was feeling a whole lot better to actually get into the actual cockpit itself. But no, as it turns out, this is just like immediately, like it's like going right. Oh man, Senku's on his sickbed. Okay, we have to play. Wait, Senku's in the cockpit. It's kind of like that. It's like there's no time that's actually been passed from Senku being sick to actually being in the cockpit itself. But the guys that control Chaos actually made a pretty good theory. It's that Senku actually wanted to be the first one in the cockpit regardless. It's like, yeah, you can do all of this, you can all be that, but I'm the first in that cockpit. And it kind of like goes with Senku's character, as Francois said in the last shot. It's kind of hard for like the leader of the science kit to actually hand over the reins to someone else while he's on his sickbed. So it's kind of like going the extra mile here by saying like, yeah, you guys may be able to maybe able to do all this cool stuff, but I'm the first in that cockpit, no one else. And the way Senku actually looks now makes it all the more poignant about how much more time it's going to take for him to recover, as we see him like literally covered in sweat. I mean, we saw him in sweat in the last chapter, but this one's kind of like making it a bit more obvious as he's holding what looks like a machine gun. And even Mia actually brings that up. The reporter person actually brings it up. Is like, when did Senku get a machine gun? How the bloody hell did they have time to actually make one of them? And Yo's the one who's like saying like, no, they didn't. They only got the only gun they got was the one was the one Ryusui snatched from his pouch. So it's not really a machine gun, or it's not really a machine gun, but it's something better than like what unless it might actually be the pistol. Actually, I do believe it is the pistol that they actually made on Treasure Island that they actually snatched, or maybe I don't know what that is. I actually have no idea what that is, and if someone can remind me in the comments, that would be actually great, and you'll get a heart if you can actually remind me what that weapon is that Senku's actually carrying, because I'm pretty sure they do have the pistol, but this one I have absolutely no idea what that is. As Senku and Ryusui are discussing their tactics, they bring up the fact that the weapon that they have right now is no better than a club, but if they can actually fool Stanley to thinking that they have machine guns, then that might actually give them an advantage here and might actually back him off, which is actually very smart here, because if you can actually make someone believing that you actually have a weapon when you don't, then they're going to be like, oh my god, okay, they may be lying, but just to be on the safe side, I am gonna be cautious and be taking my time here. As we see Ryusui going, that makes sense. We've got to bear some false fangs, turn this into a real dogfight. And Stanley, for all his like roughness and toughness, is actually commended him, like saying like, you've got guts coming at a military trained fighter pilot like me, but yeah, but fine, have it away. I'll play this fair and square and crush it. So okay, that there is really good characterization for Stanley, showing that okay, he is honourable when he's actually seeing someone putting on a brave face and showing like, okay, despite me being like this super military person, these people are still gonna come and fight me aircraft to aircraft and actually take a challenge on me. It's like, okay, this might actually go one-sided, but fine, I will play it fair and square, even though he could easily just crush them if Stanley really wanted to crush them, he could pretty much do that easily. He's demonstrated that quite well with actually taking out Senku. Even though Senku's not is hardly what I would call top tier fighter in this universe, he's still top tier in terms of the team that they actually have. So to take him out, that's pretty impressive. Because a lot of times in a lot of fiction and manga, the secondary antagonist of an arc is not really one that gets the upper hand on the main character all that much, but Dr. Stone is subverting those expectations now. And again, like I said, I love Stanley's characterization in this moment, the fact that he's like seeing these people coming at him, and it's like, okay, if they wanna do it that way, fine, I'll play it fair and square. As the battle continues to rage on, we start to see Stanley and Ryusui and Senku start to make a few new maneuvers as Ginryu goes and says, Senku and Ryusui are playing a game of tag with Stanley. Looks like they're just circling around each other. As we see one of, I can't remember this guy's name. It's the guy with the bow tie, the one that I believe was revived while he was sitting on a toilet. I believe he's. Well, I was trying to, I can't for the life of me remember his name. He's so much of a minor character that I think even Boichi and Inugaki forget about him sometimes. Although I shouldn't really say that, because last time somebody said that, they were kind of proven wrong with Soyuz. But anyway, this guy that I can't remember the name of, he goes, a battle between fighting pilots is a race to be the first to lock on to the enemy, which makes sense, because if you actually play a lot of those games where you're actually in planes, it usually is like you're manoeuvring around, or even if you play like spaceship games, you're usually manoeuvring around each other so that you can get a lock on the engines and actually just shoot the engine. So you're constantly always maneuvering around each other. You're not really blasting each other head on. It's like kind of like all different maneuvers and circulations to kind of get on top of each other. As the battle continues to rage on, we get probably my favourite moments in the chapter, which is just the faces from Ryusui and Senku going as they're just circling around Stanley, trying to get a lock on him, and we see Senku is actually making some. Now, whether or not this actually goes back to okay. Okay, it might actually be the pistol that Senku was actually holding at the beginning of the chapter, because he's showing that he's holding a hammer in his mouth, or a mallet in his mouth. So yeah, it might actually be the actual pistol that was taken from Yo at the beginning of the chapter. So yeah, that might actually be what he's working on. And I'm just a complete idiot. And if somebody calls me out on that in the comments, I will obviously mention them in the next chapter. If Party Jams actually comments on this, because I know he's been commenting on a lot of my videos recently, especially on my Dr. Stone video. So if he calls me out, he will get a like, and I will and a heart, and I will mention it in the next chapter if that's the case. And I'm just being a complete idiot here. But anyway, another thing I like about this chapter is that they actually have the names of whoever's piloting the plane right next to it. So like, because both planes look very similar, so they were probably thinking, okay, both planes look too similar, so how are we going to know to keep track of who's who? And just putting the names right next to each other, that's kind of a neat touch, and I really like that. And now we get to probably my favourite line in the actual chapter itself, when Ryusui's talking to Senku about the differences between them and Stanley. He goes, I've only taken our private plane out for shopping trips, but this guy is an ace fighter pilot. I love that comparison, because pretty much to Stanley, Ryusui and Senku are like little kids with like a new toy. It's like, let's take it out shopping, or let's take it out for a treasure hunt. They're just going, they're kind of like that in Stanley's eyes here, and I just love that comparison. So great line on that part. They go on to say that they figured they'd probably lose in a straight up contest of speed. If old Stanley's faster than them, they're gonna have to use that against him. And yeah, that is actually really smart on their part, because it's hard to figure out sometimes, okay, what's going to be their weakness, and most of the time it's usually like, okay, turn their greatest strength into their worst weakness. Like, they're pretty well aware that Stanley is probably going to be faster than them, so it's like, okay, what do fast people usually have in common? And it's kind of like unpredictable maneuvers on the spot. So this is when Ryusui does a break turn and does a really sharp turn, so it's kind of like they're going like that. That's basically what is actually happening on the page. It's like they're going like that, like probably at the split second that I don't think even Stanley could have time to react to. As the guy with the name I can't remember says, impressive, how does one pull the emergency brake in mid-air? Ryusui reiterates this as he probably figured Senku was probably Senku says it because it's probably one of them, either Ryusui or Senku, actually asked this same question. They're going, it's even trickier in such a primitive plane, but by causing Stanley to overshoot like that. Oh no! I believe someone else is actually saying. I can't actually figure out who's actually saying this, but I don't know. It's even trickier in such a primitive plane, but by causing Stanley to overshoot like that, they swap positions and pull. Oh no! It might be the guy who's saying that. It might be actually the guy who's saying this, and I'm just being like a complete idiot here. So anyway, they've swapped positions and pulled up from behind, allowing them to lock on. And I love the fact that we don't get to see Stanley's face, like he has his mask covered up. I love that fact, because then we can have a lot of interpretation about what he's actually thinking in this moment. Because I think the only line he actually has in his next chapter is the one where he says, "Fine, I'll play it fair and square." And after that, I don't think he, from what I could. Oh no, he does actually say something here. He's he's just actually saying this here. Okay, so he's saying something else here. So my mistake. I love the fact that we don't see Stanley's face, and we don't see how calm or collective or even angry he's getting at this point. As he goes on to say, "Well, Junior Science Club, ever seen this before? the high speed yo-yo, and I love like I don't know whether he does have a yo-yo in the shot or whether it's just done for aesthetic, but from the looks of things, it does look like he has it, and I love that. I think Red from Control Chaos will get a lot of Killua vibes from here because Killua usually fights using yo-yos, particularly later on in Hunter x Hunter in the later arcs. So yeah, you'll probably get a lot of Killua vibes from Stanley when they do their video. I guarantee Red will probably mention that. But anyway, carrying on. The high-speed yo-yo consists of a sudden steep climb, slows one down immediately inside the enemy's turning arch, and then the acceleration from a quick descent gets one in a position directly behind the enemy. So yeah, it's kind of like a yo-yo, like sipping up and then coming back down. So it's kind of like okay, now I'm behind. So it's kind of like standing going, okay, zipping up like a yo, and then going down slowly then going down like slowly like a yo, so I could actually get back in the position that I am actually on top of you guys, and I've got you locked on. As they go on, the chapter goes on to say, because the movement resembles that of a yo-yo, this offensive technique has been dubbed the high-speed yo-yo, and I love that. I actually love that. That actually makes perfect sense to compare it to a yo-yo, because it really did feel like a yo-yo with the way it was actually described in this chapter. As Senku continues to be impressed by Stanley's skills, we see Ryusui going. As in typical Ryusui fashion, basically, I've compared him to the Tony Stark of the Dr. Stone universe. As per usual, he goes, I desire them. Those moves, I desire skills like yours. And we get commentary down on the Perseus as we see Ginru going, Stanley slid in front behind them, and we see Stanley going, get it now? A dogfight is about managing speed, altitude, and energy, all as the world zooms by in a 3D chess match where amateurs don't stand a chance. As he goes, lock on, it's over, prepare to die, Junior Science Club. I'll greet you in hell when I join you someday. And we get a little bit of Stanley Sire now. He's probably going, if I can read out, it's over. Prepare to die, Junior Science Club. I'll greet you in hell when I join you someday. But of course, Senku and Ryusui are not gonna go down that easily. As Ryusui goes, you have my gratitude, Stanley. If you hadn't have backed me into a corner, I would have gone my whole life without attempting this death-defying mid-air trick. I decided those magnificent skills, those techniques, as Stanley's looking at it, he's like, no freaking way. As we see Ryusui basically do like a loop-to-loop. That's basically what it is. So he's turning the plane like that, so that he can actually get back behind Stanley. And I love. This is probably my favourite Senku and Ryusui Senku and Ryusui face. That one right there, where they're just like. I love that. Words cannot describe how much I love that. Anyway, this technique, according to Stanley, is called the Cobra maneuver. And he goes, in a primitive plane? No way. They're still gonna stall and drop from the sky. I know what that engine's capable of, and it definitely doesn't have the power to get them level again. As we see it pretty much getting them level again, and Stanley is completely confused by this. As Senku does his trademark, it's 10 billion% true that we were lacking the power. When all we had was your fuel. As we get a flashback of Senku actually instructing from his sickbed how to make a fuel source that's capable of surpassing the fuel source that Stanley had in his plane originally. As they go, you see castor oil serves as an ultra quality engine oil. So okay, castor oil, like Senku was able to instruct everyone from his sickbed how to actually make that, and I love that, and I love that little image of magma just smashing everything, and it looks as though Nikki is about to smash his head in, and I love that. As Senku continues to go on and says, resources starved Japan might not have the crazed oil output of your continent, but we make up for it with ingenuity and desperate measures. And they go on to say he was behind us a second ago, but we flipped the script. And badass moment from Ryusui here. He takes off the pilot mask, just throws it away, and he's like, video games train my right hand, so I'm ready for a combo move with your science, Senku. Oh, how the tables have turned as we see Ryusui bring out Yo's gun, point it at Stanley, and he's like, check it out, Stanley. This time we're the ones locking on. And that's where the chapter ends. So, like I said, not a lot to talk about with this chapter. It was pretty much, like I said, what I expected, just basically the dogfight in the sky. So not a lot to talk about, but we did get a bit of characterization from Stanley. Got a lot of running commentary, and I can just imagine this entire chapter just taking up. That they'll probably, if the anime. See, this is the thing with the anime. If they really want to, this whole chapter could take up like just half an episode. That's basically what it could do. Like just seeing all the different maneuvers and everything. They could just go crazy with this. And if they wanted to add filler, I'll be alright for that, because again, like I said, I'm alright with filler as long as it doesn't overall detract from the story all that much. If it's like say this chapter is like takes 7 minutes to get through, and then when I just had an extra 3 minutes, by all means do that. Do some different patterns. Go crazy with the different patterns of the aeroplanes and everything. Just do that. But yeah, like I said, not really much to say with this chapter. Just the dogfight, and I loved like the back and forth with them. They compared it to Yo-Yo, and it was basically like a Yo-Yo here. It's like Senku and Ryusui on top, then Senku and Ryusui, then it's Stanley, then Senku and Ryusui. Like it was just back and forth, like basically like Pong of that nature. And they actually made it exciting. They actually made it exciting through the commentary that we had, and Senku and Ryusui's facial expressions. And yeah, that's all I've got to say in this chapter. So what did you guys think? Let me know. Like, subscribe, comment, all that jazz. And this will be Lasher Luke signing off. Later, guys.